How many of you have heard the term unconditional positive regard before? Oh, not many of you. Okay, great. How many of you would like to learn how to use unconditional positive regard to reduce stress and improve your well-being, not just for yourself, but for those around you? Not seeing any hands going. So, Joe, just Lisa, fantastic. So we've got a couple of you that are interested. How many of you not heard of unconditional positive regard, not really interested in learning about it, and wondering how you ended up here in this session? Fantastic. Okay, great. Well, even if you've not come across this idea before and you just hear out of curiosity, I'm hoping that the things that we discuss and share over the next hour will at least pique your interest and will hopefully inspire and empower you to consider how you can contribute to making the world a little bit of a better place. Just so you're aware, this session is being recorded.
Why have you got your headphones out? Because I've got Zoom. Oh, what meeting am I going into?
What Zoom meeting? I thought you.
Oh God, it's only a webinar.
Oh, what have I missed?
Oh God, no, it's just a webinar.
So,
okay.
I'm just going to put you all on mute because we've got some background noise. Just so you know, this isn't a webinar, it's an actual meeting. So you will have an opportunity to get involved with the discussion. So if you haven't already done so, please do put yourself on mute because otherwise, whatever you're sharing in your areas, we can all hear. So I'm just going to find a way to do that. You just mute everybody. Okay, perfect. So the reason we're recording this session is just so those that aren't able to attend the session live will still have the ability to access the recording and to be able to catch up. But the recording, anything that is of a sensitive nature or a personal nature, we will edit out if required. Who are we? Firstly, how many of you are attending one of our sessions for the first time? How many of you have never attended one of our sessions before? Okay, a couple of you. Fantastic. Well, welcome if you're first timers. I can see some familiar names and faces. So for those of you who have attended some of our programs before, welcome back. And I hope you enjoy this session as much as we've enjoyed creating it. So who are we? The Stress Management Society is a non-profit organization I created 22 years ago as an opportunity to essentially help to create a happier, healthier, more resilient world. And we've been working hard to drive positive change for the last 22 years. We have a research and consultancy arm called International Wellbeing Insights. Through both sides of the organization, we've literally had the opportunity to reach millions of people around the world. And one of our our landmark sort of months of the year is April, which is Stress Awareness Month. How many of you have heard of Stress Awareness Month before? So it's a campaign we've been running for several decades now. It's good to see quite a few hands going up. And we use this as an opportunity to just drive awareness and create a space and a platform for us to have positive conversations around stress and mental health. And the theme this year is
Lead with love.
My colleague Leah, who's going to be supporting my session, supporting the session today. She's going to be my co-pilot. Do you want to tell everyone a little bit about Lead with Love, what it's about, before we get into this?
So Lead with Love, which you'll learn about more in the session, it's around the idea of unconditional positive regard. Have any of you heard of the idea of unconditional positive regard before?
Got a few hands going up. Yeah. Fantastic.
So you'll find out more about unconditional positive regard, but the whole concept is basically based on spreading love in the world, kind of meeting certain conflicts where you feel like there can be a potential conflict with love as opposed to anger and hatred, and seeing how that plays out to eliminate the conflict.
Fantastic. Thanks, Leah. Okay. And she's here to support the session. So any of your comments and questions that come into the chat, she'll be bringing that into the discussion where necessary. So we are running all of these sessions as a way of contributing positively to the world around us. We rely on your support to be able to continue to do the work that we do. So if you're able to, please do donate to allow us to continue providing the resources, the webinars, and to be able to support people in general. So anything you can do to support us is gratefully received. Just so you know how the session works, there's going to be lots of opportunities for interaction. This isn't a lecture. It's not a webinar. It's not something you watch whilst you eat your lunch. There's an opportunity for you to engage and get involved with the discussion. We are going to be asking lots of questions throughout the session. Sorry? You be serious. Excuse me, I think there must be an emergency and we've been asked to evacuate the building. I'm just clarifying what's actually going on.
Yeah.
They've asked us to back in
Why?
safety concerns. So there's more police company.
Okay. I'm really sorry to have to do this, but we've just been told we need to evacuate the building because there is some kind of emergency. I am going to do my best to find another way to log back in. I am so sorry. Is there really police outside?
I think you should just go.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll catch you later.
I'm so sorry that we have to do this. I appreciate this.
Stay logged on.
You here. And I'm not quite sure what's going on, but I've just had a colleague come in and said the police are here and we need to leave.
Stay safe.
We will record this session and make sure that you guys all get a recording. I am so sorry, and if there is a way I can come back in quickly, I will. Apologies,
safe.
everybody. Sorry.
Take care. Just go.
I agree. Go. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Maybe Prime Minister.
Guys. Was it suggested that we stay logged on until he hopefully comes back?
Yeah.
Well, it did say try and get back on as soon as he
Yeah.
could.
Yeah.
But
I
we
was
don't know
looking
the
forward
type
to
of
this as well.
emergency.
Mm-hmm.
I would say
Yeah,
we
if
give them like, whatever time we can, 10,
10
15
minutes.
minutes or so.
Yeah. If it's the police, goodness knows what's happened. Where's it being hosted from? Do we know?
They're in the UK, but I don't know
Yeah,
exactly
main
where.
office. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was looking forward to this because we're getting ready to do a stress awareness month initiative in the offices. So I was looking for some tips today.
I'm
Yeah.
sure this is one of many that they'll be having.
Yeah.
I'm going to stay and see what happens. So I'm going to rejoin.
Fairfield, Middlesex is what the address says on their website, the link that they provided.
Right. And I'm on Anglesey in North Wales. It's a beautiful day here. 18 degrees.
Patricia, I see your chat. He started the conversation, and in the midst of just starting the webinar, their building was asked to be evacuated due to an emergency, and several of us just decided to stay on to see if he would come back shortly, or if not, then he's going to record what they were going to speak of and send it to all of us so we have the information.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Heather.
You're very welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes. Hi, my name is Raquel. I know you were all with Neil just now, and they had a little issue. I don't know exactly what happened, but they had an issue and they were evacuated out of the building. And he asked me to step in. So let me see if I can actually share the presentation. Now, I will need your help because I don't know where Neil left it. Let me just check if I can see.
He was
Can you
just
see?
explaining what we were going to learn today. He hadn't even really gotten into the presentation yet.
Unconditional
Okay.
positive regard, wasn't it? Was what we finished
Yes,
on.
that's as
Exactly.
far as he got. Yep. Do we know what it is?
Perfect.
Have we heard of it?
Perfect. But can you see my presentation actually?
We did,
Can you
but
see
now
my-
we see your files.
Oh, you could see my, okay, let me just, then it's here.
Yep.
Okay. So this is going to be a bit unusual because I haven't seen this before. I know the content. I'm gonna do my best to guide you through the planned content for today, but I'm gonna learn as we go as well. But we're gonna make it. So again, sorry, did he went through the first initial questions?
Yes, he asked us, do we know what unconditional positive regard is? How many have used it or heard of it?
Okay, excellent. So maybe I'll just dive immediately. Let me see exactly. Maybe let's just dive into the content you've all been already waiting for quite a long time. So the ground rules, we know if you can put your cameras on, do put your cameras on. If it's not possible, that it's okay as well. So understanding unconditional positive regard. So maybe you already answered nil, but do you know what it is, what we are talking about when we are talking about unconditional positive regard? Who could tell me? I know a few people in this call that actually know what it is, but what do you think it is?
It's
Can I say?
person-centered, isn't it?
Come again?
I think it's meeting somebody exactly as they are and giving them compassion and support with no judgment, something like that, is it?
Yes, perfect. Anything else? Anyone else has views? Well, it's exactly that. It's about love, compassion, and empathy. It's about how we show up to our relations and truly is about fully accepting the other person as they are. Now, if you take this concept, how do you think that this can help you to reduce stress and well-being? Why do you think it's important? Why do you think we are running a session on stress, focusing on unconditional positive regard?
I think if we were like this more to each other, then stress would be greatly reduced. That's my opinion.
Yes, Patricia, yes, definitely. Tim?
I think it makes less work of social interactions, doesn't it, as well? If you are just following a kind of a code of conduct in your dealings with other people, then you're not having to kind of overthink things.
Yes. So let me give you a little story that we like to use. And some of you have already heard this, but think of an historical person that is very easy to, I'm not going to use the word hate, so let's just use to dislike. Someone that we can probably all agree on. Who would you be thinking of? Most of us are thinking about the same person, but I mean, could be others. Who can give me a few examples? Okay, I'm going to go with one. Say Hitler. It's pretty non-controversial. So if we think of Hitler and whether so let's focus in a situation where he would be alive. Say that I absolutely hate Hitler. It's just something, I just can't hold it, and it's in me, and I hate him. Do you think he cares? Do you think he gets affected?
No.
No, right? He keeps going about his life, and that's it. What if I love Hitler and we're still in the situation when he doesn't even know me, right? Do you think he cares that I am absolutely in love with him? That I just have these feelings of empathy, of love, compassion towards him? Probably not, right? However, how am I affected in both situations? What do you think it's the difference?
Your nervous system is more regulated in the first one.
In the first, the second, you mean?
Oh, when you're being, yes, sorry.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Exactly,
sorry.
Joanna.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. So who is the only person who gets affected by this situation?
Ourselves.
You.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's why we like to bring into this concept of unconditional positive regard, because the truth of the matter is that relationships are highly affected by our own state. I'm talking about mental, emotional, physical as well, of course, but it all starts with us. And that's why we also like to use a few other examples. I think you can see it on my screen. So for instance, you can think about Nelson Mandela. He spent 27 years in prison. He came out. What did he do? Did he go and punish people? He didn't. He created the Reconciliation Committee. Mahatma Gandhi, he did the same. He didn't tell people, go ahead and kill each other. No, he went for nonviolence. Jesus Christ, when he was on the cross, what did he tell the Romans?
I forgive you.
Exactly. I forgive you. It was not even you will be forgiven. It was I forgive it. It all starts within. And so the research about UPR truly says that it fosters inclusivity in society, encourages better relationships, and improve others and one's well-being. And my question to you is, what does leading with love look like to you? Knowing I gave you already a little intro, so what does it look like to you?
Taking the initiative.
Being
Taking the
empathetic.
initiative. Yes, and how can we show empathy?
Direct eye contact, active listening, putting yourself in their shoes.
Definitely. How do you distinguish empathy from sympathy? If I see someone,
empathy is about putting yourself in someone's shoes. Sympathy is about how you feel about that, how that person's experienced it, so you can sympathize. Some people find that patronizing. Don't sympathize with me, but you can sympathize with somebody and see their situation. But empathy is putting yourself in their shoes, trying to understand. When you were saying earlier about leading with love, I always like to say about leading with curiosity. So in answer to like some of those questions you said there, it's about leading with curiosity, asking the questions, trying to understand where that person's coming from.
absolutely. I love that. I love leading with curiosity. Definitely. That could be a very good title for a webinar as well. And yes, you're absolutely right. The difference between sympathy and empathy is that you're you're relating to the other person experience, whereas in sympathy, we can still be compassionate, but there is a distance that we're putting between us and the other person, which is really important when we're talking about empathy. Who else has views on what leading with love looks like to you? Think about your own experience. How do you lead with love in your life?
I think you step back a little and self-reflect before acting or connecting, and check in with how you're feeling in your body and your mind. If you're to prevent yourself projecting your own agenda, so you stabilize and have a more compassionate view before you step forward.
This is great, Joanna. So we really like to talk about the power of silence, the power of pausing, and the power of silence. How many of you have noticed that I've asked questions so far and I've allowed silence in the room?
Yes.
How many of you were uncomfortable with that silence and felt like I just didn't know what to say? It's very natural in a conversation, especially when we are heat up, that we want to fill the silence. We want to just throw all our emotions out there because we know exactly what we want to tell the other person. Whereas when we take a moment and we pause and we just allow silence, also when we ask a question to the other person, if I ask a question to you guys and allow silence, what is happening to you? Internally, what's happening?
It's giving us time to pause and think ourselves to ensure that we provide the best educated answer for ourselves before we speak.
Absolutely. Yes. You're just allowing yourself to reflect instead of jumping and saying whatever because you feel like you have to fill in the gaps, you have to fill in the silence. And this is really important when we are talking about communication, because often what happens, and we are all victims of this. How often do you think you go into conversations, be it in your personal or professional life, and you already know the answer? So you ask a question, but actually you already know the answer. So you're not fully listening to the other person. How many of you have been in conversations when you're just literally waiting for your turn to speak? I know I was. It's yes, Charlotte, you have your hand up.
I was just trying to agree.
Sorry. Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry. Yes. Sorry. I should have said, because sometimes we just use, that's why we would like to keep the cameras on, because that's a way for us to just raise our hands. But yes, I mean, I think you know where I'm going. So leading with love, as I said, truly is about going to that compassion, to that love, and empathy. And so in a way, we already discussed this, but this is truly is what it all boils down. So what do you think we can do to be more loving and kind to others? And I'm going to add something here. How can we also do this applying it to ourselves. What are some examples you think we can do to make sure that we are more loving and kind to ourselves and others in our lives?
We can connect with others.
Speak
How do
to
you
others
connect?
as
Reach
we
out
want to
to
be
them.
spoken to.
Yeah.
Speak to others as we like to be spoken to. Yes, absolutely.
It's okay to make mistakes. Sometimes
Love
say
that.
the wrong thing. Yeah.
Absolutely. And in those circumstances, what do you do?
The first inclination is to kind of feel terrible and call myself names. You idiots, you know.
I love that you said that, Tim. Absolutely. That's what most of us refer to, and we're gonna get to that. And okay, so what other things can we do to be more loving and kind?
Like considering this perspective, like where the other person's coming from, like they might have been a bit short with you because they're stressed because of something that's got nothing to do with you, but like there's often like a sense of justice, isn't there? They were rude to me, so I need to be short with them back, or make sure they knew that, or not, you know, like, you know, in a professional capacity, it's almost like people putting regards instead of kind regard, you know, like it's those little micro aggressions, isn't it? I don't know.
Yes, no, absolutely. Just take a moment to, and just, it's, so I like to think, you know, myself, I've been meditating for many, many years. And at the beginning of my meditation journey, I thought, oh, okay, now I'm gonna be a Buddhist Zen monk, right? Like nothing is going to affect me. I have lived abroad also for now almost 15 years. And whenever I go back, I stay at my mom's place. Guess how many days it takes me to get out of my Buddhist Zen monk attitude? Who has
Very
a wild
quickly.
guess?
Not
One
like
day.
Very quickly. Yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not even days. And it's not because I don't love her. It's not because I don't have it in me also to apply this UPR, but it's just because it's very natural. That's how life works, right? I mean, it goes in waves. But when we have these kinds of tools, it's fantastic because, as Tim said, and I love that you brought it up, we often go into this mode of, okay, I am an idiot. What did I just do? And I've been meditating now for I don't know how many years. How am I still doing this kind of mistakes? And that truly is not the goal. The goal is to think that, you know, to catch yourself in the moment, or even if you catch yourself a few moments later, it's okay. Apply unconditional positive regard to yourself, because when you apply it to yourself, you'll be better at applying to others. So some of the things that we can do when we want to lead with love with others is going towards or applying empathetic communication. We've already talked a little bit about this. What is empathetic communication? It really helps to apply active listening. Who can tell me what active listening is? Are you familiar with this concept? No? So active listening would be, you know, going back a little bit to the example I was saying before. When we were, you know, when we were just waiting, we were engaged in a conversation, but we are just waiting for our turn to speak. Active listening would be exactly the opposite of this. Active listening would be about being fully present, truly listening what the other person is saying, and instead of just assuming we understood what the other person said, we can use some techniques like, for instance, paraphrasing, really reflecting back the words that they've used themselves. Because what happens sometimes is, say that, Tim, let's go. I'm sorry, I'm going to pick up on you again, but let's use your example. Say that you made a mistake, right? Let's do a little bit. Let's do a little bit of role playing here. You made a mistake. So just pretend that you're having a conversation with me and that you just tell me whatever is going on in your head about that mistake.
I just feel so embarrassed by that, by being insensitive with what I said. My first inclination actually is to pretend it didn't happen. And then maybe after a little bit of time to go back and say, look, I'm really sorry about that. I hope it didn't kind of put you in a bad place.
Okay, so I was going to, maybe I didn't explain myself correctly, and I'm sorry about that. So I actually wanted us to pretend that we were having, that you were sharing with me. No, that's fine. But okay, but so you see, so what Tim said is that he felt really embarrassed because he just, he didn't fulfill his objectives, right? And if I have this conversation with Tim and I don't reflect back the words that he's using, saying, for instance, maybe he had used the word embarrassed and he had used the word fail, maybe he will not even understand that's what he's communicating with me. Because if I say, oh, you see, I understand, it seems like you're feeling really embarrassed because you failed. And then maybe he will go and be like, oh, yeah, I mean, maybe it's not that I failed, and you allow the person to go into that space of reflection and also self-compassion, because suddenly the person realizes, oh, that's how I'm speaking to myself. Maybe that wasn't a failure, right? Maybe that was just a mistake. So empathetic communication would be a lot about applying this kind of tools. Non-judgmental communication. This is absolutely key. Why do you think it's important to have non-judgmental communication?
It keeps the dialogue going because the person doesn't become defensive. They don't feel attacked.
Exactly. What else?
Could make assumptions.
Make assumptions. What happens when you come to someone with a judgmental attitude? How does the other person feel?
Defensive.
Defensive, yes. What's the opposite of defensive?
Openness.
Reactive.
And they attack, right? When we are feeling, what's the best, antidote for most people? What's the best antidote when they feel defensive? They attack. And then we stop listening to each other. So it's all about trying to really creating that connection with the other person and providing support without conditions. And now this is tricky. Providing support without conditions. What does this mean to you?
So like the definition of unconditional positive regard.
Yeah. What else? How can we provide support without conditions?
To just be there to just be there for the person, not expecting anything, not, you know, going into it with forethought of what's beneficial to me, what's beneficial to them, just being there.
Just being there. So
Listening.
yes, listen.
Follow their lead.
Come again, sorry?
Follow their lead. It's not about you, it's about them if you're listening.
Absolutely. I think you just touched a key point, because it's not about us, is it? And that's why I'm saying this can be really tricky, because we are in our own heads. We're all in our own heads. And when we are in a conversation sometimes, or, you know, establishing communication with the other person, it can be tempting to fall back on what we know. And we are the subject that we know best. And while there's absolutely no problem in obviously relating to other people through our own experiences, because again, we are the subject that we know best, and this is how we experience the world, it's really good to remember that, especially when we are providing support to other people, it's not about us. It's not about trying to get something out of the other person so that we can feel better about ourselves. Truly is about the other person, and that requires attaching absolutely no conditions. Anything you would like to share, comment, insights so far? So, of course, we like to ask questions here. So my question to you is, how do you think we can show yourself? We already touched a little bit on this, and I actually didn't know that it was coming forward in the presentation, but I think you still can give me a few more ideas. How can you show yourself more love and compassion and empathy? What are some of the things that you could do to make sure that you're extending unconditional positive regard to yourself?
Speak to myself as I would my best friend. Give myself positive affirmations.
I love that. What else?
I think self-work and self-reflection is really important, because I think having a space to really think into why you have those thoughts about yourself, or why you may speak negatively to yourself, or whatever that looks like. I think once you kind of know where that kind of stems from, or what might exacerbate those feelings in the moment, you can kind of meet that part of yourself when it arises, and therefore be more compassionate and empathetic towards yourself. But I think until you know what it is that kind of pushes your buttons, or stronger language like triggers you, I think it's really hard to direct compassion and empathy towards those parts.
Yes, I agree. Anyone else has views?
I think self-acceptance, just kind of accepting and not putting too much pressure. So at the end of the day, if you're looking back and thinking, oh, that wasn't what I wanted to do or say, you just say, that's okay, I'll try again tomorrow.
So I think you all gave great inputs. I'm going to suggest a few more. And we're going to start with, I don't think you, no. Setting boundaries.
Yeah.
How do we set boundaries?
I find it hard to.
Me too. I think
Establish
everyone.
our own ground rules. What will we allow or not allow for ourselves?
Yes.
And I think it takes
So some of-
self-knowledge. You've got to know yourself to be able to set those boundaries in the right place.
Yeah.
I
Is
agree.
knowing,
Yes, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like knowing when to walk away, like if obviously treating people out with like this unconditional positive regard, but knowing like if something's getting too heated, actually the best thing is to just walk away to protect yourself and them in that moment, or to like create space kind of thing, the boundary of space when needed.
So let's take that example. That could be perfectly okay only if you had done something beforehand. As a boundary, that can only be acceptable if you had done something beforehand. What do you think it is that I'm talking about?
Set your boundaries or let them know. Let the other person know I'm going to walk away now but I will listen to you later.
Absolutely. That's it, Charlotte. As long as you were clear about your boundaries. This is crucial. So setting boundaries, some of you said, I found that hard, right? Why do you find setting boundaries hard?
I'm just always really anxious about how it will be received and how the relationship will stay.
Oh, sorry, who said that? I couldn't quite.
I did. Sorry, Joanna.
Okay, no, that's great, Joanna. Yes, Joanna, that's something that comes up for many of us. But when you're doing that, what do you think it's happening? What do you think it's creating that for you?
I think that creates stress for me, for sure.
It creates stress, yes.
Yes.
And where do you think it's coming from?
I don't know. I think it's all patterns.
Yeah, you can call it patterns. Absolutely. So what happens is that, and this is something that boundaries are generally hard for people. Let's start with that. And they're hard because someone mentioned, for instance, that extending unconditional positive regard starts also to ourselves, starts also with self-awareness and personal growth, if you will. And in a way, this is also what's going to help us to establish those boundaries, because for many of us, it's hard to establish boundaries just because it triggers something very primal, like the fear of being left behind, the fear of not being loved. And this, we could have a long conversation, go back to hunters and gatherers. We were living in tribes, we were living left behind, and, you're sick, you're left to die. So this is what sometimes setting boundaries sets or triggers in us. Suddenly we're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to tell this person that I can't do that. But what do you think it's the most powerful word in our language when it comes to setting boundaries? And that a very small word that we're very afraid to say, especially by itself. No.
No.
Exactly. We're so scared of saying no. It's like, oh, okay, no, but no, and this is absolutely crucial, because when we set those boundaries and we are clear, when we made it clear, that's why Neil started this workshop with the ground rules. He told you exactly what the ground rules for today were. So now, if I ask you to keep your cameras on, you are not going to be surprised, because Neil already told you that you should keep your cameras on. If I ask you a lot of questions, you're not going to be surprised, because you don't think I'm prying, because he already made it clear. He said that's how we're gonna work. So setting boundaries it's absolutely crucial. It really, I know I'm repeating myself, but I find this one of the most important things because I know it's so hard for many of us, but it truly helps us to extend that compassion to ourselves. And yeah. Another thing, sorry, before I move forward, any questions, any comments you have on this? Okay.
What
So,
about, oh, sorry.
yeah. Go ahead,
Sorry,
go ahead.
I was just going to quickly ask you about if somebody repeatedly ignores your boundaries.
It's what if someone repeatedly ignores your boundaries? That's great. What do you do? What do you think you should do?
I don't know.
I think it's
What
a
if
really
you?
sorry, I was just going to say I think it's a really good question because I think when you've tried, you know, you've had a bad sort of experience trying to set boundaries and they've been disregarded, it kind of sets you back.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You need to let the person know who is breaking those boundaries, be forefront and say, you're stepping into my boundaries that I have created. Be forefront with them. And if they still cannot understand that they're disrespecting your wishes, then you need to take yourself outside of that situation, no matter how bad it hurts physically or mentally to do so. Protect yourself. That's why you create your boundaries.
Thank you.
You don't just create your boundaries. Let's be clear about that. You enforce your boundaries. There's no point in having boundaries if we then don't enforce them. So the consequence to the boundaries needs to be clear to the other person as well. So if you say that, say in a situation, let's use a workplace situation, when you tell a colleague, please don't send me emails after 9 o'clock in the evening. This is being very generous, after 9 o'clock, because I will not check them. And if they repeatedly send you emails, but you reply every once in a while, you just, you created a boundary, but you didn't enforce it, did you? So you need to reinforce, and the consequence needs to be clear. In this case, the consequence could be, listen, because if these emails are creating a backlog, so I'm not going to be able to reply to any of these emails, I don't know, in 2 days' time, whatever it is. So it's about enforcement. Truly is about enforcement.
Thank you.
Celebrating small wins. I think some of you actually had mentioned this. It's beautiful when we start celebrating, when you give ourselves some love, just because, as taking my example from before, I go back to my mom's place and I stay for a month, and if I manage to be kinder and to truly be present, it's also good to tell, okay, you did a good job. And allowing time for rest, truly making sure that you're taking care of yourself at the mental, emotional, and physical level. And none of this, it's worth, but it's going to fall in empty ears if we don't take action. So unconditional positive regards, making sure that we apply that into our or apply that in our life, having that love, that compassion, that empathy. So as we are really coming to the final minutes, how do you think you can take this into your life from a very practical perspective? What do you think you can start doing or applying in those difficult conversations by leading with love? What are some of the things that you could do? let's turn this around. Is this something that you want to apply in your life? How many of
Yeah.
you want to apply, start
Definitely.
navigating difficult conversations?
Yeah,
Yes,
Okay.
definitely.
definitely.
How many of you want to build that confidence in offering unconditional positive regard?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Hmm.
Okay. And you want to encourage those meaningful discussions to create positive change. Is this something that interests you? You're all here, so definitely you have some interest in this, right?
Yeah.
Considering everything we discussed today, what do you think are some of the things that you could start doing today?
Reach out and have a difficult conversation that I've been meaning to have for a while.
Absolutely. What else?
I'm just going to jump in and just say, I think I'm definitely going to slow conversations down. I'm going to try and get that active listening more, because I think by active listening, I'm going to understand the situation a lot more.
Yes. I love that. So I'm very mindful of your time and that you've had, well, we've had a few technical issues on our side, and this was rather unorthodox today. I don't want to keep you much longer. I do want to say that we have resources that you can, sorry, let me go here. So you can have a look at our website, because we have a lot of free resources where you can find simple techniques, methods, also a few worksheets where on this and other topics. But this can be really a nice way to start implementing some of those actions. And if you are an HR, health, and safety professional or a workplace well-being specialist, you can also join our People, Culture, and Wellbeing Forum. This is a forum that we organize pretty much every month, and where we just bring like-minded people in companies working on well-being, just to have a few conversations, share best practices, and truly be able to share common problems and find solutions together. And it's a free forum, so you're all welcome to join if this makes sense to you. And finally, sign up to our newsletter. We always send we do our best to send also some very practical tools and tips. And finally, if you don't know, our Mental Health Champions program is truly, well, some of you have been through our Mental Health Champions, so you know that it's one of our landmark projects, and it's about creating a network in companies so that we have people that are there to support each other. But from it's peer to peer. So the idea here truly is to make sure that there are enough people in the companies that are very aware of mental health issues and can help colleagues going through difficult situations, or just provide emotional support, really. We do have a discount code if you want, so you could use SAM25 and have 222 pounds. I was saying dollars, pounds discount. No, actually the price would be 222 pounds. Sorry, that this is not the discount. And finally, we also have the new product, Wellbeing Protect, which is an online tool. Basically, it's an online course that you could sign up and get the first benefits. This is mainly for people who can't attend the online sessions, and or also for companies who want to give this as a perk to their employees. Again, we have the discount code, and just want to ask you if this session was beneficial. I know we had some issues, but if it was beneficial, do leave us a Google review. Before I go, is there any, or before I let you all go, is there any questions, comments you would like to ask? You also can see our contacts in the screen. But I do want to leave the opportunity for you to ask questions before we leave.
Just before we do that, Raquel, thank you so much. That was a very stressful moment. Apparently there is a bomb scare. Our building has been evacuated. We are standing in a field. I literally had to get a hold of Raquel in an emergency to see if she could deliver the session. So I really appreciate you doing that. I've been trying to support here in the background, but I'm on my phone in the field. So thank you all for joining, for your patience. We will send all the information and the resources tomorrow. Once we get back into the office, and make sure you've got the slide deck and any other materials that we've got that can support you in being able to lead with love, and to be able to get the full benefit from unconditional positive regard. Thanks, Raquel. You're a superstar. I really appreciate you.
No, absolutely. Sorry, guys, if I was learning on the go, but I do hope it was useful and that you took something with you. And if nothing else, just go back to your hearts. Think about love, compassion, and empathy in the next conversation that you have.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.